Yeah, so the situation is very simple. I'm in Blessington, a little bit of change of plan, and it's 29th of September 1808. Sunset will be around 7 and 8 minutes, so in about 1 hour. Hopefully we are reaching blue hour. I have a bridge here that you can hopefully see, and I have this this structure in front of me, which looks kind of cool in this area. Let me just get an exposure just to see where we are at the moment. You don't need too many. Let me get that tree there as well. And yeah, 2 stops, and oh, that's perfect. So f8, 1/60 ISO 100. Again, I'm with my let me just input that f8, 1/60. And I don't need any ND filter. I'm shooting again. I touched the lens. I'm shooting basically with my color positive film, and exposure needs to be spot on. Let me just show you for the moment what I'm seeing through the viewfinder is this, and what I want to do is basically a panorama, and I'm just going to get an exposure. Yeah, 2 seconds will be fine at -12 and 1 at +12, so we get a full panorama. I hope it will make a nice photo. Let me see. Yeah, too bad there is a car there. Somehow there is a car, but I think other than that I'm okay. I may do another one because I don't think I'm I wasted the film. Is it? I don't think I'm quite straight on it. Simple. Today I bought a new emulation. I bought the Kodak Ektachrome. Oh my god, it's a color negative film, but it has very vivid colors. So I think I'll better get going to the next location, which is just a few meters on my left. That bridge. Yeah, so now I'm at the second location. Absolutely beautiful, this bridge. I made it in a diagonal fashion. I remember I photographed it many years ago with one of my Canon cameras. Beautiful here in Blessington, isn't it? Very calm water. You cannot swim here, but other than that, again, I'm with my trusty Sekonic. Let's see this time what we are saying. So I'm getting the bridge somehow in diagonal in the rule of thirds. 2/3 is the sky, so just going to meter the bridge itself. Those dark bushes there, obviously the brightest part of the sky, and reflections in the water. Why not? And maybe another shadow down below there, and hopefully, it's just, I'm at 2.5 stops. I don't know if I will be able to capture the sky, so I think I'll be settling for a 1 stop ND grad. I'll just get the shutter speed to 1/40, and I may just pop in 1 stop ND grad. This always gets stuck. Yeah, you see those types of films are very they have a small latitude, so sure you can chance it, but it's my first time shooting this type of film, so I'm not sure if I can capture actually 3 stops above middle gray. In fairness, I read a lot of things on over the internet, and if you look into the density chart that you have it on Kodak website, it will show you that this film can capture around 5 stops, but I don't know how those stops are distributed. Can I capture 3 stops above? Can I capture 2 stops above? Is 2.5 and 2.5? I don't know. So I'll better consider that I probably can capture 2 stops and a half only, rather than, oh, that's too strong. Rather than you know, regret. Yeah, there's not the one. There's not the filter that I want. I need to find my single grad. Yeah, that's the one. 0.3. That's one stop. Pretty clean, but we'll give him another. Now, obviously, when it's sunset, you have to remember that the light is actually dropping in intensity. So you probably, if you can wait another while, you don't have to do anything. But I don't want to wait. And now this polarizing, oh, let me use it actually. Let me use the polarizing filter, why not? It's just that, because what happens is this film is actually a little bit colder. The shadows will look very blue. So unfortunately, it doesn't do much. That's the maximum it does. Takes the glare out. Okay. But now we have 2 meters through it, just to see, for example, how dark it is. And it's 1 stop and a third darker. So we will remember that 1 stop and a third. So let's meter again, because it's possible that the light actually dropped. So again we are at f8. And the sky, yeah, the sky now is only 250. Yeah, the light dropped very fast. Just getting a couple of meterings, but it's still on top. Yeah, still the same. Yeah, so f8 1/40 of a second, but we can actually shoot at f11. And yeah, let's shoot at f11 and then make the exposure at 1/30. It's kind of the same thing. That will be 1 stop and 1/3. And now we just simply have to put the ND grad and away we go. And that's it. That's the bridge. There's no need to do a panoramic shot here. I don't think it will help. I can, you know, get my zoom lens and do something else, but looking now at my right, it's a beautiful, huh? I think it's okay. Beautiful. I may get those mountains or whatever, those hills. Let me see what I can do. And then we'll call it a day. Yeah, no, this lens doesn't do much. Obviously, I'll be changing the lens now. I'm gonna get my my 24 to 105. Why not? And see what we can get there. So any of you, if you can let me know how to expose this Kodak Ektachrome. It will be great, though I don't think I'll be purchasing again. You cannot use long exposure, you cannot use filters, because it will stay in the image. I have this big bush in front of me, and it just throws the balance completely. Nothing in the foreground to make things interesting. I mean, this bridge was great, but I think the old drama is on the other side. Maybe if I use a vertical, let me see. If I use a vertical, how is this going to pan? It's even horrible. Yeah, because what happens is there is no focal point of interest. That's the thing. I may need to walk around and explore, or we may need to come some other day. Sometimes it's like this. It is what it is. You have to know when to give up. Maybe if I move on the other side, we'll see. Anyway, it was a pleasure. And good evening. We are in the studio now. So I have imported the photos that I took with my Canon EOS 1V and Ektachrome emulation, and let's see what we got. First of all, as you can see here on the screen, basically we have two shots. We have this one and we have this one, and if you remember when I was doing the photo itself, I said that I'll be using a tilt and shift lens, a specialized tilt and shift lens, which is able to shift the lens physically, horizontally and vertically if needed. I just use the horizontal fashion of this lens in order to get a panorama. So there are cameras that can do that. By default, there is one from Fuji. It's a panoramic camera. It accepts 35mm film as well, but they are quite expensive and maybe rare to find. You're not going to find them on every in every shop. Obviously they're out of production, but what is beautiful about that camera is obviously it shoots only panoramic. So if you don't want to shoot panoramic, well, you have no options but to the tilt and shift lens, which is by no stretch of imagination cheaper. It's around 2,500 euros as well, but you can purchase from a second-hand dealer. You may get maybe kind of different results, but you have to need to do a little bit of tweaking, and obviously you won't be able to print in darkroom. So if you have a client that wants a panoramic shot, it's quite difficult, I think, to have two 35mm frames and stitch them together somehow in darkroom. Probably you can, but I don't know how to do this. But I know how to do this in Lightroom. So obviously all you need are those two exposures that you should meter kind of in a similar way. Obviously you're not going to change the values in between shots. And then you simply shift the lens from -12 to +12, and you get this, and you select both of them, and with the photo merge function you go to panorama, so not HDR, not panorama, and you'll get a preview, which is like you can use any of these spherical, cylindrical perspective. I just leave everything as default. I use auto crop and auto settings, and you just merge it. So depends on your machine. It may take a while, not too long, obviously, and should be here somewhere. So that's the panoramic shot. Now, obviously, you go into developing mode now, and you have to crop it because this is kind of unusable, but that's not an issue. And you crop it. Maybe we should use a custom crop, and you crop it until you're happy with the results. Something similar to that, for example. Now, this is a color positive film, which means that you don't need to use the negative Lab Pro plugin because there is nothing to reverse. This is the image as it is. This is a positive image. So as you can see, it looks different that, from your regular EFU cameras. Like if you think of a JPEG file or a RAW file, the colors are crazy, but this is the color of the film. To me, it's kind of a magenta. And I did not use any filters to take these photos, as I said. What bothers me is obviously this hair. It's a big piece of hair exactly here on the building, so that can be easily annihilated like this. and there are other dust spots that you can take off. Your scans must be better, could be better than mine, much be cleaner and everything, but it's a real struggle. And at the moment I'm happy with that. Now obviously, as I said, there is this car here. Let's say it gives scale to the building. Obviously it's not ideal. The photo somehow is kind of, I think I'll crop it better, because I would love to have kind of a similar distance between the buildings, like this, maybe something like this. Now again, we have those signs here that are kind of white and they add nothing, so unfortunately you can't dislodge them. And this car here, ideally it should not be parked. To me, image is quite magenta, so let's see if we can remove some of it. Yeah, maybe like this. We can remove, we don't necessarily need to remove the whole magenta, because it removed the magenta from the sky. But actually what we can do now, we leave the tint as it is, and what we can do, we can possibly create a mask here, like a linear gradient, for example, at the bottom of the frame. And in this linear gradient I'm going to play with the tint. So I'm going to leave the magenta in the sky because I like it, but I'm going to remove the magenta from the ground level, and we get something like this. And in the sky we can put another look. For example, we can actually select the sky when it's set, and we can, let's see what we can get in this way, in this fashion. So you see the sky is selected, and we can make it brighter or darker, depends on the mood that we get to get. And we can also play with the temperature. Let's see what this slider does. No, I don't like what it does. And the temperature is fine. We can actually probably add more magenta in the sky if we're crazy like this. And then what else we can do? We can use a radial gradient and just stretch it across the building, and we make it a little bit brighter, for example, because the building is the main objective. And this is kind of the whole thing that I'll be doing with this image. I like the form. It's quite a geometrical form. It's kind of funny shape of a building, and it was a nice afternoon. I think it's working. You have this kind of complementary colors, kind of a little bit of dry palette of colors, which is exactly what you want. So, and we have magenta and green. I don't know, I think it's working. And too bad about this car, too bad about the signs, because why is too bad? Cars always exist, okay, but this is not the car of the owner, and unfortunately this gives away basically the time of the photograph. Like if somebody is specialized in cars or whatever, he will know what year can be. So this is not necessarily ideal. Now that could have been great also in a long exposure. Water would have been smooth, because the foreground is kind of busy. Imagine the same scenery in snow, but we don't have snow here in Ireland. So there is a lot to improve, and obviously these trees here are kind of dark. Possible, I wonder if we can make everything brighter. Yeah, you know, we can probably brighten up the trees as well. But I think I'll just add a brush. Actually, I'll add a brush here, and just slightly brush these trees. And I'm just going to try to increase exposure only in that area, if it makes sense. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. But as you can see, you don't necessarily need to go crazy, because this color positive film has a very limited dynamic range. So the moment you crush the shadows, you can't really recover them. And if you keep on trying to digitize a picture and recover like this, you're going to introduce a lot of noise and color shift. And yeah, that's kind of it. I did another edit a while ago, and it looked like this. Possible more neutral somehow. Maybe today I like this edit better. I think it's much more vivid, much more accurate to what I see. Again, it's kind of difficult to say, and this is something that eventually took me off from color positive film and color negative is that I don't really know what are the colors of these emulations, because I'm scanning the image, then I work it in Lightroom, so I don't know what were the original colors. So sometimes I'm simply asking, why am I doing that? So I think I'll be sticking with black and white from now on, simply because I don't have a black and white digital sensor, so at least it makes sense to shoot like this. But that's a different story. Let's go now to the next shot. Oh, it's the same. We're going to this shot, and this is a shot that obviously we need to crop. This is the one that I was talking about, that bush in the background. Well, that bush was actually this tree line here, and out of the bat, I think I want to remove those scanning artifacts or whatever they are, some dirt. Maybe this is a bird in the sky flying, I don't know, too bad for it. This is some sort of a light spot from a house, I don't like it, and we have this another hair here that we need to remove. Again, I think that would have worked better in long exposure, but my filters are not that neutral, and I think it will introduce a color cast. Right, so number one, I think we have to go with the white balance. Yeah, you see now, the moment we remove this magenta, the image looks completely different, and we have to increase probably the overall exposure, but now we are losing the highlights. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's kind of difficult to correct. Yeah, maybe like this. I need to see a little bit of color in those hills, because they were... Maybe if we open up the shadows. Yeah, opening up the shadows. You see, if we open up the shadows crazy, the image becomes very soft, noisy, because it was not... I did not have enough dynamic range, probably. But we can go maybe something like this. We play with the whites, we reduce the blacks to give more contrast. And what about saturation? Well, let's do the saturation a little bit as well, because this film is going to be saturated, but I believe saturation will just add vibrance, because vibrance will increase saturation of the colors that are not saturated. And yeah, I think highlights can be more. We selected like this, highlights, and maybe exposure overall down. Yeah, this is the whole picture. My idea of composition was to have like a sandwich of light. We have this 1/3 water, then we have the sky, and in the middle we have those colorful hills, and with this forest in the middle. Again, it's kind of simplistic. I think it would have been much better in long exposure, but it is what it is. So this is the second photo that we took that day, and we should have another one. Yeah, we moved to the next one, and that was the image with the bridge. And believe me, I metered it correctly. What happens is just the scanning. Was not ideal, because the film is very thick. I used the DSLR scan this time, scanning technique, but for some reason, as you can see, the image, it's very, very dark. Probably because it's poorly exposed. Let's see what the auto button does. Yeah, it kind of does, but we need to add more exposure, and then it's too magenta, so we'll take this off, and probably, man, it's very difficult to correct. Yeah, everything it's simply too magenta. We have to remove that cast somehow. Yeah. Possible like this if we add some vibrance. And now again we have to use our linear filters, linear gradients. I don't see what else we can do here, and probably try to brighten things up and play with the tint as well. It's too magenta, too violet. Okay. we remove some scanning artifacts as well, the ones that are obvious and are bothering us. And I think what I will do next, I will simply add another gradient here on the bridge itself to make it much more bright, because ultimately this is our point of interest, and there is nothing that leads our attention to it. Now the whole image now looks like an HDR from the early 2000s, but I think I'm happy with the results ultimately. The sky, it has a very strange color. It's like orange, and the water is magenta. It's, yeah, I'm not sure the colors were that accurate. Again, it's a difficult film. Probably you need a different type of light. Probably you need a very vibrant sunset or sunrise in order to do it. That was almost blue hour, but for some reason this film rendered the result more like magenta than blue. I'm trying to fix it. As you can see, I have very hard time doing it. Yeah, maybe we'll make everything more bluish than, yeah, probably something like this is better, but now it's too blue. Yeah, unfortunately it's very hard to make things happy, but I probably prefer the bluish color rather than magenta, because at least you can say that was the blue hour, not the magenta hour, which won't work. And just to finalize this video, I just want to talk about this photo, and which is a photo of a lonely tree, but I'll show you the edited version, because again I had very difficult times getting this color cast from the film, which probably this is what Kodak Ektachrome renders colors, so it's not to my liking. I was not very happy, but I think this image works quite well. Lonely tree on the blue hour, very minimal palette of colors, some blue, some yellow, complementary, rule of thirds, nothing special. But again, what I'm not happy with is this grass, you know, the foreground. Instead of, it should have been snow or sand or something else. This is kind of busy, there's a lot of texture, and no matter how simplistic the composition is, it doesn't really work. But this image probably really works in a frosty autumn, frosty October, November morning, or possible if it's snowing, but it never snows here in Ireland, very rarely. Otherwise, it is a beautiful tree, but the foreground just doesn't work for me. Anyway, as I said, the problem that I have with color positive film, just to conclude this video, is the fact that in Ireland, if you believe that there is only one lab that can process this type of film, and it's a pity, because well, I mean, it's good for them because they will have probably a lot of customers, but the turning time is about 3 weeks. That on the paper, in reality, takes around 5 weeks to get your film back. So you probably, is better to send them like 10-15 rolls of film at least. But I don't know, that may potentially extend actually the processing time even further. I'm not sure if you can fool them. You know, you send them 100 rolls of Ektachrome and they will be ready in the same amount of time of one film. I don't think so. So it's a shame. And even if you live in that this lab is somewhere in Cork, even if you personally go there and give them the film, it will still take the same amount of time. It's just ridiculous long. And to me, it's not worth it, simply because it's very hard to process. I could not find the software. My DSLR Techniques or Epson V600 scanner doesn't do a great job. I'm sure there is a way of correcting the image. I know that color positive film is meant to be seen on a projector, which has a warming lamp, so it will kind of reduce the amount of blue cast that you get. Another way of using it, I think you can use a warming filter, like a yellow or orange filter. It's just too complicated for colors that, in fairness, I don't even like that much. Now, maybe Fuji Velvia or Astia is better, but is very hard to find, and as I said, it will take very long time to get them processed back. So I guess that was it for today, and I'll see you in the next one.